before spring training. We refer to March in Mesa as Christmas in March. We like to say that Chicago is, the summer home of the Mesa Cubs.
But local leaders worry the annual ritual will lead to more COVID-19 infections. First News.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Windsor Johnston. The Biden administration is moving ahead with its nearly $2 trillion coronavirus relief bill. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says finalizing the details of the next measure remains a top priority.
Right now, the administration's sole priority, our sole priority, is getting the American Rescue Plan passed, which means getting shots in the arms of the American people, getting families urgent economic relief they need, ensuring communities have the resources they need in the fight against COVID.
The House is expected to pass its version of the relief bill by the end of next week. Democrats hope to get the proposal through Congress before March 14th, when federal unemployment supplements expire. Secretary of State Antony Blinken held a virtual meeting with a diplomatic group known as the Quad today. NPR's Michelle Kellerman reports they discussed a wide range of topics, including maritime security and the urgent need to restore the democratically elected government in Burma.
The U.S., Japan, India, and Australia have been meeting in this format mostly as a counterweight to China. But China wasn't even mentioned in the State Department's readout of Blinken's virtual meeting with the Quad. Instead, the statement says the ministers talked about cooperating on COVID-19 response and recovery and climate change. They also called for the restoration of the democratically elected government in Myanmar, also known as Burma. Blinken has made dozens of calls with allies and partners vowing to re-engage in diplomacy, and he told NPR this week that he's found an incredibly receptive audience. Michelle Kellerman, NPR News, Washington.
Stocks traded lower on Wall Street today. The Dow was down 119 points. The Nasdaq Composite fell 100. The S&P 500 also traded lower, down 17. This is NPR News in Washington.
This is WHYY News in Philadelphia. I'm Kenneth Burns at 5:32. It snowed and it was slick outside, and we are going to do a recap right now. WHYY's Miles Bryan joins us on the line. Hi, Miles.
Hey.
So I'm looking at the snow totals from the National Weather Service, and you can definitely tell, particularly over New Jersey, that areas south of the city received a lesser amount, and then the further north you go, the higher the amounts go. Where are we seeing overall?
That's exactly right, Kenny. I talked to the National Weather Service recently, and they said, by late this afternoon, there was parts of the northeast part of the city and the northern suburbs that saw up to 10 inches of snow, like King of Prussia, for example. But much of the city of Philadelphia saw far less, maybe 2 to 4 inches total. And South Jersey was even less than that, with an average being just 1 to 2 inches of snow total.
Right, and let's give a shout out to our friends in the first state. Middletown 1 inch. Hockessin probably received the most of 1220 this afternoon, 2.8 or 3 inches. But we're not exactly out of the woods yet. I know there's a winter weather advisory. What's the forecast for tonight?
Yeah, we're not going to see a huge amount of snow through tonight or tomorrow. The meteorologist I spoke with predicted maybe an inch here in Philly, but what we are going to see in South Jersey and in the Philly region is sleet and wet conditions and ice. So you're right, folks should be careful on the roads going home, and they're going to need to be careful in the morning if they're heading to work, because it's possible that sleet will freeze over and create dangerous conditions on the road.
Ironically, myself included, as I drive back to New Jersey. But it was slick this morning. I remember coming in and seeing a number of accidents, and we've had them throughout the day. How are the roads looking? Have you talked to any of the road crews so far?
I haven't been able to touch base with any road crews, and they're getting that work done. I know a number of SEPTA bus routes, maybe 15 or so, were canceled earlier today, but many of those have come back online. I think the road crews are out and doing their best, but if you can hold off any trips to the grocery store, if you're lucky enough to work from home like I'm doing right now, maybe put that off until mid-morning tomorrow.
Advice heeded. Miles Bryan from the WHYY Newsroom. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
It's 5:35.
Investments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss. And from Indeed, committed to helping businesses hire quality candidates. Indeed's Instant Match searches through millions of resumes to deliver candidates who fit the job description. More at Indeed.com/credit.
From NPR News, this is All Things Considered. I'm Elsa Chang in Los Angeles.
And I'm Ari Shapiro in Washington. In the early days of the pandemic, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo seemed to emerge as a voice of reason and transparency. At a time when the Trump administration was actively downplaying the severity of the disease, millions of Americans followed Cuomo's daily public briefings. Now he's facing tough questions about decisions he made back then regarding nursing homes. And a recent report from the state's attorney general is adding to the criticism. Gwen Hogan of member station WNYC is covering the story and joins us now. Hi there.
Hi.
First, tell us what this attorney general's report said and why it's become such an issue for the governor.
Right, so 2 weeks ago this report came out, and it confirmed what we had known for many months now, which is that the death toll inside nursing homes was actually 50% greater than the number New York State had been reporting up until that point. And that's because New York was one of the only states that we know of intentionally excluding the deaths of nursing home residents who died in hospitals. They were just counting people who had actually died in nursing homes themselves. Now we know more than 15,000 New Yorkers died of COVID in nursing homes and other long-term care facilities since the start of the pandemic, which includes about 6,000 deaths that were not previously included in those totals.
So Cuomo built this reputation for transparency through his briefings early in the pandemic. Then he actually released a book underlining that point and celebrating his leadership. Is the accusation now that he may have actually concealed information that made the state's response look worse than it was?
Right, and actually we learned a little bit more of this concealing last week when a conversation that his top aides had with Democratic lawmakers was leaked to news reports. Basically, she had admitted to these Democratic lawmakers that they intentionally withheld the full death toll because of the Trump Justice Department probe into their handling of the situation. And this leaked reports of this phone call seem to have angered the governor. And we know this because yesterday he spent more than 20 minutes critiquing a lawmaker who has been critical of him, Assemblymember Ron Kim. And Kim came out further saying that he actually received personal phone calls where he felt threatened by the governor. Now lawmakers of both parties are coming to Assemblymember Kim's defense. Here he is.